Would you like to get updated with the latest episode of AnimeKouhai Tensura spoiler series? It's episode number 372, volume 15, chapter 1, part 9, entitled, Belgrind orders General Gladium to conquer the armed nation of Dworgen. Support the channel and you will have access to 3 episodes per week. Check out her Patreon page if you get a chance.
What's up guys, welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
Nonsense! This is ridiculous!
At the main camp, far from the battlefield, Lieutenant General Gaster ranted, his face pale. Before him was a scene of unbelievable devastation. The Magitank force, his pride and joy, was being tossed around by a monster wolf that had taken human form. It was a nightmarish scene. Safe to say there were more destroyed tanks than intact ones by now. Defeat was unavoidable at this point, but the battle had progressed so much faster than expected that they had already missed their retreat window. They hadn't even been able to report the situation to Calgurio, General Commander and leader of the Armored Division. Gotta report back to that bastard Calgurio ASAP and ask for permission to withdraw. Gaster's sense of reason was pleading with him. And yet, even if he submitted that report, he'd likely never receive permission. The main force led by Calgurio had already kicked off their operation. If Gaster and the rest of the forces here withdrew, they'd be left totally isolated. The restructured Armor Corps, their main force, was being deployed in front of the Demon Lord Rimmeru's stronghold. They were all proud warriors of the Empire, each of whom underwent reconstructive surgery, and they numbered an overwhelming 700,000 strong. They were a sure thing, absolutely certain to win, but if they knew the rest of the army had been defeated, it was bound to shake them. Plus, the Dwarven Kingdom's army would go on the move soon. Once they did, the restructured army corps could be caught between the dwarves and the Demon Lord Rimmeru's forces, leaving the corps surrounded and cut off from their supply lines. They could function for about a week without food, drink, or sleep, but no more. They were still human beings, and even they needed supplies. My mission is to subdue the Dwarven Kingdom. If I withdrew from the war zone here, I'd be abandoning Calgurio and all his forces. Even if we can't win, we must at least maintain the stalemate. But that was a questionable option. The only thing Gaster saw ahead for his army was defeat. Confusion was reigning toward the rear, and the chain of command was starting to fall apart. They were even seeing friendly fire now. Even if they kept going, it was just a matter of time before they were annihilated.
Lieutenant General, if we keep this up, one way or the other will be wiped out.
Retreat! Give us the retreat order!
He didn't need his advisors to spell it out for him. He firmly agreed with them. But if it was said out loud, all responsibility for the defeat would fall upon his shoulders. Lieutenant General Gaster was a man of impeccable personal bravery, one with a fine reputation within the military. He had never known a setback like this in his whole career, which was what made this seem so peculiar to him. We can't retreat. If we do, His Majesty is bound to punish me. I can't ever allow that to happen. I'm the man who'll become a hero, but now all the glory's disappearing. Unless I've got something firm to prove that it's not just my fault. The very prestige of the Empire was riding on this operation, if it failed because of him. Such was the true nature of Gaster's thoughts, something only coming up to the surface now. In fact, he was always a small-minded person, caring only about saving his own hide and not blinking at the thought of sacrificing his troops.
Lieutenant General, if we continue like this, it'll be difficult to even rebuild our forces. We're still in control of our main force. I think we should use them to strike the enemy in the rear.
There's no shame in a temporary retreat. If we keep fighting in close quarters like this, it's only going to cause us more casualties.
Amid these suggestions, Gaster finally began using his head again. Lose the unit he'd been placed in charge of, and he'd never escape punishment either way. Demotion wouldn't be the end of it. They might not even give him a trial before they took his life.
Damn it! I'm going to be a hero. And now, all these damn incompetents are dragging me down.
Gaster's ugly nature was now bare for all to see. But his voice was then drowned out by the sound of a huge explosion. Turmoil spread across the main camp.
What's going on?
It's an enemy magic attack.
Magic? No. Is that nuclear magic?
We haven't confirmed it yet, but judging by the scale, it has to be. But
what? Speak up!
Yes, sir. The enemy's offense seems to have easily penetrated our Legion magic, protecting our force from magic strikes.
What? Damage report!
The explosion occurred in the sky, sir. We've lost contact with our allied airships.
That's ridiculous. Are you saying that the Flying Combat Corps, the jewel of our entire military, is gone?
Gradually, in fits and starts, the situation grew clear. and now everyone realized the damage was far more serious than they imagined. They had lost contact with not one airship, but all of them. That magic just now must have taken them all down. They were equipped with magic cancelers, a new type of weapon, but it was magic that did them in? It was so hard to believe.
Retreat. Wait. No. We have to. Yes, we have to change course and gather ourselves.
Gaster sent out the order, aimed more at himself than his soldiers. He had finally made the decision to retreat from this ghastly situation, but that decision had already come decisively too late. A cool voice echoed through the battlefield.
Ha! You're not going to claim this is the end, are you? Because I've already told you, invade us any further, and we'll show no mercy.
Gaster turned his panicked head toward the voice and saw a beautiful snow-white face with a beaming smile. It was Testarossa.
I'm a woman of my word, you know. When I visited this world in the past, I made sure I fully granted the wishes of my summoner. Rest assured, I'm going to reward you handsomely as well.
Fear flooded Gaster's mind. Not a petty little fear involving saving his own ass, but an endlessly churning terror that threatened the very foundation of his life, eroding his instincts.
You.
Oh. I wonder if you forgot about that. If so, that's very rude of you.
Testarossa eyed him like an affectionate mother looking down at her naughty son. Gaster would never have forgotten. Not that much time had passed since they parted, but no matter how many years went by, her lovely white hair and scarlet eyes were too beautiful to ever forget. More than that, it was all so terrifying. Her beauty gave him an unfathomable sense of foreboding. Suppressing his fear, Gaster tried ordering his men to attack. But there was no one to answer the call.
I'm not sure what you're trying to do, but your men are resting at the moment. They must have been pretty tired, huh? I can't seem to get them up.
She was whispering in his ear now. They were talking face to face a moment ago, but now he found her standing right behind him. He hadn't been careless, he never even took his eyes off her, but before he knew it, Testarossa had moved on him. It was just too fast, and even more frightening, there was no sound accompanying it at all. Gaster's unique skill performer allowed him to detect the movements of his opponents through sound. He could capture even the faintest of noises, things not even a trained guru could control, not just the beating of one's heart, but even the blood flowing through their veins. And yet sound was completely absent from Testarossa. Then Gaster discovered another terrifying fact. He couldn't hear any sound from his fallen men, either. They were dead.
You didn't kill them, did you?
Gaster staggered away from Testarossa. She replied, not betraying any remorse.
Well, you know, I was a bit hungry, so I took some.
Took some? Took some what?
Oh, a few souls.
Her matter-of-fact tone of voice infuriated Gaster. The anger overcame his fear, replenishing the strength in his body.
Die, you foul demon! Mind Requiem!
Letting his momentum take him up, Gaster unleashed the most powerful move he could muster, scattering inescapable, murderous sound waves into the surrounding space. The special effects these waves had on the minds of intelligent life forms caused instant death. It was one of his all-powerful finishing moves, effective even against spiritual life forms like demons. But Testarossa just smiled elegantly at him.
Ah, what a pleasant tone. It'd be such a waste that you had to be human. What a pity. You have such wonderful talent as a musician, but now I have to kill you.
Her enraptured expression clouded with sadness. Seeing it made Gaster realize that his attack didn't work. It plunged him into despair. He had been fooled by her beautiful appearance, but Testarossa was definitely not human. In fact, he finally realized, she was a higher-ranked being than he had ever seen before in his life. Maybe even more so than that rampaging wolf hybrid. This was beyond dangerous. Are you saying there's monsters like that all over this nation? If so, then we may have gravely misjudged our strategy from the start. After all this time, Gaster finally began to feel some regret. Along with that, he foresaw the complete failure of the Empire's military operation. All of this, and above that, Tempest had the catastrophe-class threat Veldora. The war was already dangerously close to being lost. There was no way they could stage a comeback. So Gaster began to get desperate.
Wait, I want to make a deal.
Oh, what kind?
I'm high-ranked in the Empire. I'm well-versed in our military operation. I have classified information on me. I can be useful to you, I promise. So please, spare my life.
Throwing all shame and outward appearances aside, Gaster begged for mercy. But there was still a glint of light in his eyes, and he was careful to keep an eye on Testarossa's response. He thought he was out of options, but right now, his ears caught the sound of several footsteps approaching. He had an idea of who they were. They were running quietly enough that only he could notice them. Just from those footsteps, he could immediately surmise they were from the Imperial Intelligence Bureau. If the IIB had agents monitoring the battlefield, it certainly wouldn't surprise Gaster. They were directed by Tetsuya Kondo, the one stalking the halls of information, and he was sure Tetsuya would use every measure at his disposal here, so he decided to believe that they were here to save him. It didn't matter how pathetic it made him look, if they could buy enough time for him, he'd be saved. His confidence in this mainly stemmed from a rumor about the IIB he had heard a while back. Among the IIB staff were people simply termed intelligence officers, operatives with first-class combat skills who were trained for operations in any environment. Their names were unknown to the public because they never joined in any ranking duels. They were affiliated with the IIB, and they never transferred out. They were, in a way, removed from the world at large, working strictly under the mysterious otherworlder Tetsuya Kondo. That was all just a rumor, and not a very credible one at that, but Gaster had nothing else to grasp onto right now. If these were just regular soldiers coming along, it was all over. But if they were IIB intelligence officers, well, with Gaster's help, they could probably beat Testarossa. That was why, right then, he had to do whatever he could, even beg for his life, to buy some more time. And the bet paid off.
Do you sense that? You're a demon. No, an archdemon.
Several soldiers jumped out in front of Gaster, shouting. He thanked his own good fortune, and when he heard the term archdemon, it suddenly made sense. No way his physical attacks would ever work. He was dealing with a spiritual life form, and an archdemon was top of the heap among them, dangerous enough to pose a calamity-level threat. Only a true champion could fight one off solo, and maybe Gaster would have a chance, but it'd truly be a fight for his life.
Who are you?
3 men were now on the scene. The sight of them reassured Gaster enough that he dared to ask.
Sir, we're from the IIB.
Just as Gaster expected, they were secret agents. One of them was about to state his name, but the man in the middle, the leader, apparently, stopped him.
Whoa, now's not a good time to give out names.
The first man turned toward Testarossa, a concerned look on his face.
You're no regular archdemon, are you?
It looks like she's received a physical body. No wonder she had such a faint presence.
Lieutenant General, we'll get to names later. For now, we have to team up to beat this evil demon.
Yes, of course.
Gaster had no choice but to back the leader. It was annoying to not be in charge, but right then, survival was everything. In a brilliant display of coordination, the IIB men instantly surrounded Testarossa, using a chain made of monster hair to block her movement on 3 sides.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. Shout out to the new members of AnimeKouhai supporters: Vongola Tsunasa, Sayonari, Blaine Trevino, Mikia Celesgi, Luis Hernandez, Jay Wright, Alfredo Renteria, Arnav Ajay, Knife Mac, Eman G. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.